So today we're going to look at bringing in data from an ODBC database into our data model. So what I have here is an asset. It's a condenser and it has a cost property on it, and I would like to populate this value from a Microsoft Access database. And as that Access database gets updated, I would like that value to automatically be updated in my model and any client applications that are connected up to it. So we're going to begin by connecting to our data connector service. Now I'm running localhost here, which is perfect for Status Enterprise. Now if you're running Status Device Cloud, your database is not out on the computers that your Status Device Cloud deployment is running on. So you need to install a data connector service locally to connect up to that Access or that ODBC database and have the data forwarded out to your data model. And there is a video for that. If you look at connecting with the data connector service video, it'll describe that in more detail. So your data connector service needs to be running local, at least on your own network, if not on the computer that you're working on here. And we're going to begin by creating a new mapping. So I'm going to call this mapping my ODBC mappings. That's the configuration name that I have here, and I'm going to select ODBC database as my provider. So this is the kind of real data that I want to bring in is from ODBC. And I'm going to select my database. So I've got a parts database, and where that parts database came from is I ran my ODBC data sources configuration application, and I chose 64-bit because I'm on a 64-bit operating system. And that utility lets me add different databases. So I can select, for example, Microsoft Access, and I can specify where the database is and add that database in here. So you want to try to use System DSN. If you use user DSN, you may run into some security privilege issues and problems. But with System DSN, adding it in here, you tend to be very safe. So this is where my parts database has already been added, so that's already set up. And the next thing we want to do is we want to create a query. So what we're going to do in a query is specify a little SQL query to pull the data out that we're interested in. So we can run the query builder. This is the parts table that we're interested in. And we're going to write ourselves a little query here. Select first, cost, and we're going to select that from parts. And we can test our query, and we see we got a value of 125. So that is the first parts entry in the table, and we're pulling the property out of the cost column. So that's going to be our query. And next we need to do our mapping to our asset. So I go to configure mappings, and I select my condenser, and I select my ODBC item. Now there's a couple of attributes here. One exposes the attribute value as a single value. The other one exposes it as an array of values. So sometimes, I may have asked for all of the cost of each of the parts that were in that table, and in that case that would have returned an array. But I'm just interested in a single value. Now this is a little bit cryptic, expression 1000. There is a way of using an alias in order to have that result labeled in a friendlier manner, and creating an alias is available in the documentation if you want to take a look at it. So what we want to do next is create a mapping between the cost property on our condenser and the result of our query 1 that we created. All values is an array of data. So if you are make a query, for example, that's bringing in a number of records, you can use that as an array, and you can create a value in your model that will accept an array of items. Right now we just want the raw value of the expression to come back, so we're going to do the data mapping to that. So we do our add mapping, we close the window, and again this mapping is not going to take effect until we save it. So I haven't saved it yet. I want to bring out the model browser here so we can keep an eye on this value change. So there, the value changed to 125. We can go and open up our Access database. And we can go to our parts table. And we can change the cost of this item to $225 and save that Access file. And there the value is just updated again in the model browser. So any client application, it doesn't matter if it's a graphic, if it's a report, if it's a trend, if it's an alarm, any client application connected to that property in the model will receive that value change. That's all for now. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us. Thanks.